How's everybody? You can answer that. How's everybody? Good. Hey, John. Hey, there. Say something. Special attention to a couple of friends from San Antonio in the back. Sid, and Debbie, and Misha, and Darius. And we usually don't call out new people, but they're my people, so it's fine. So the reason that I am here today is because a little while ago, about 2 months ago, I had surgery, and I feel like that surgery changed my life in a whole lot of ways that I wasn't expecting. And when I put it all together and realized that there's no medical reason for me to feel this good, I think that I have been healed. And I was really excited about it, and I was walking on cloud nine for a really long time, and I called Darlene and I said, you know that Sunday coming up that I'm a liturgist, I would like to give my healing testimony at that time. And she said, oh, I think you should do the sermon. And I said, what? What is that? Okay, we'll do that. So here we are. In about 2013, I started having weird problems, and I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about everything, and I'm not going to define anything, and if you don't know what a hysterectomy is, I'm not going to define it for you today. So long story short, starting in about 2013 to now, I have 12 different diagnoses, all unrelated, all treated by 7 or 8 different specialists. Some of them are treated with lifestyle choices: no caffeine, no gluten, drink a lot of water, don't have caffeine. Some are yoga, some like cardio, sleep 8 hours a night, don't get stressed out. All the things we're supposed to do anyway, right? Except for I really have to do them. Some of them are treated by medication, some are supplements, and some of them are super random things that you would have never thought, like swing from the ceiling fan at 3 o'clock in the morning the second Tuesday after the full moon, or something that whatever. And doing all of that, and doing all of that for several years, I was still getting worse. And I would have weeks at a time where it took everything I could to just go to work and come home. And then half the time I still couldn't get through an entire work day. The winter is always really hard, and part of what I have is a thyroid problem and also an autoimmune problem. So anybody with thyroid or autoimmune problems understand what it's like when you're really cold. Because it's not the kind of cold where a coat can fix you, it's the kind of cold where you're cold from your bones. So even when it's less than 60 degrees outside, I'm uncomfortable. So coming out of this past January and February, it was a rough winter. I slept 12 or 14 hours a day. I lost touch with a whole lot of people that I really care about. I don't think I volunteered much at the church at that time. I don't think I volunteered much with my veterans group. I didn't really do anything. I went to work and came home and went to sleep, and then the next day I just tried to do it all over again. And coming out of that and realizing what an effect it was having on my overall life well-being, but also my mental health was suffering pretty dramatically, and I think that I was probably pretty horrible to be around. And my husband is a rock star, because he never complained. He just would like bring me hot tea and cut my head. So coming out of that, I knew that something had to change. And we wanted to have a child. He has biological children, I don't. And we wanted to have a child, so we were trying to put this off for as long as we could. But then I realized that even if I had a child, while I was in that shape, I wouldn't be able to parent a child. So we started the process to have a hysterectomy. We set the date, July 24th. And a couple of Sundays before that, Frankie and I are both about to cry, just want you guys to know that. About 2 Sundays before that, I was set to be the liturgist at church that day, and it was the healing service. And I got super excited that I was going to be the liturgist on the healing service, and I said, since I'm doing it on healing service, does that mean I get like twice the healing? And Frankie said, I I don't think that's how it works, but it's worth a try. And then that Sunday came. I had done a thing the day before that where I was on my feet for 4 hours. And I just couldn't do anything else that weekend, and that's just how it was. My back locked up and my hips locked up, and the pelvic pain from the women's health problems, I just couldn't do it. And I called around that morning to try to find a replacement, couldn't find a replacement, finally just called Frankie. I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. I feel so defeated and so sad right now, but I just can't do this. And she was like, it's okay, Shannon, I got you. And then, so I'm laying at home, feeling so guilty, not just because I missed an obligation, but because I missed an obligation to serve God in my home church. And I felt like the devil won that day. I felt like the devil took it away from me to do a thing that I was really looking forward to do, and I was excited to serve the church in that way. And so I was laying on the couch just kind of staring at the ceiling. Now, I don't actually remember what I was thinking about, but it was probably, the dogs or something, I don't know. And then somebody knocks on the door, it's like 12:30. And I was like, well, I'm not really expecting anybody. So I got up and hobbled to the door, and the little dogs started following me. And it was Frankie, and Alan and Clayton were in the truck with her. She was the only one that came in, which was good because I was not dressed for company, but Frankie did not judge me for that. And Frankie brought the healing oil and the anointing prayer, and Frankie anointed me in my foyer while the dogs were chewing on her ankles, and I laid on her and cried like a little girl. Because that's what assured me that having surgery was really the right thing to do, because we didn't defeat the devil after all. And it was amazing, and Frankie doing that, I just didn't have to question anything anymore. I would be healed, and the devil didn't win. So here we are. So we moved forward with the surgery, and as the surgery approached, I have problems with anxiety, and as the surgery approached, I was incredibly anxious and probably difficult to be around. And I was doing the best that I could to psych myself up for it. And then before the surgery, I have a very big book. It's almost just like a giant concordance, and it says it's life's questions from the Bible, and it's broken down by section. So there's a section for healing, there's a section for illness, there's a section for just giving everything up to God. And I would go through and I would read all of these sections, not just the scripture, but then I would go back to the Bible and read the passages that these scriptures were found in so that I could understand everything that it was coming from. Sorry about that. And then I didn't feel like I had to get through this anymore. And then I didn't feel like it was all on like me and my husband taking care of me. This is what it was going to be. And I felt confident that God was telling me to get a hysterectomy. So I didn't have to worry about taking care of myself. God was going to take care of me, and it hit me like a bolt of lightning, and then I was fine. And then I had peace, and I wasn't anxious, and I like to think I was easier to be around. We can ask John about that. The day of the surgery was July 24th. And July 24th, at 6 o'clock in the morning, we got up to go to the hospital. And I woke up happy. And anyone who has ever known me knows that I am never happy at 6 o'clock in the morning to have somewhere to be at 6:30. I'm just not. I'm not a morning person. I've never been a morning person. But I was really, really, really happy that day. And so John and I got to the hospital. Pastor Darlene came to pray and hang out with us for a little bit. The nurse knew about an obscure comic that I was talking about, so it felt like everything was great. And then I should mention though that I was still in a lot of pain. Everything that ever hurt did hurt that morning. My joints, my spine, my hips, everything that ever hurt really bad that day. And then so they came, they were running a little ahead of surgery, or a little ahead of schedule for surgeries that day. So the doctor was like, hey, it's ready to go, let's go. And I went, and I don't remember anything. until I woke up in recovery about 1 o'clock that afternoon. And then they wheeled me back and gave me a bunch of water. And not because of the anesthesia and not because of the pain meds, but I felt better in recovery than I had felt in probably a year. And that's not an exaggeration. And I have never since then had as much pain as I did going into surgery that morning, even recovering from a major invasive surgery where they literally change your anatomy. I have never been in as much pain as I was going into surgery. And that doesn't make sense because my thyroid doesn't care about women's health problems. Spinal arthritis doesn't care about women's health problems. Fibromyalgia doesn't care about women's health problems. So it doesn't make sense that everything else is so much better. I still have these things. I still have to treat these things. But my hair isn't falling out by the handful anymore. I'm not sleeping 12 or 14 hours anymore. Also not an exaggeration. I have been challenged on that. It can be done. It can be done for years at a time. I did it. I have so much more energy. My mental health is so much better. Everything is so much better. And there's just not a reason for it. And I believe that the reason that I was healed is because, like the man in Scripture, and the verse is from John chapter 9 today, I think that God healed me so that I would come tell you guys about it. I think that God healed me because for a long time I was living in a lot of pain, and people who care about me knew that I was living in a lot of pain, and I was living in a lot of pain coming from a lot of different angles. And then I woke up from surgery one morning, and I'm good. My back still hurts a little bit sometimes. But, you know, I'm working out again. I'm sleeping like a normal person again. I still have to be careful with diet and lifestyle choices. But it's such a far cry from where I was. And I'm just so happy to be where I am now compared to where I was a year ago or 6 months ago or even 2 months ago going into surgery. And God tells us to share our victories. So I just couldn't keep it to myself. And I was expecting to talk at a 5-minute testimony, and it turned into this. So I'm just really happy, and I feel like I've been miraculously healed, and I need everybody to know that, because everybody in here knows somebody, or everybody in here is living it themselves. And I need you guys to have hope that God still heals. And I always feel like I'm supposed to take questions or something like that, but that's probably not appropriate. So I will just say that you guys all know where to find me. So if you have questions or want to compare notes, or if you want to know what book I have that got me through this, I'm happy to give it to you. God bless you guys.